Welcome back, everyone. If you're new to my channel, my name is Nini and I'm a full-time traveler, and in the past year I've been traveling all over Southeast Asia with my boyfriend. Right now we are in Thailand, and in the last 11 days we spent in a silent retreat nearby Chiang Mai in Chom Thong, Thailand. This retreat was a silent Vipassana retreat where we spent about 8 hours a day meditating, and there were so many rules, so many fears came up, so many insights. I'm going to share everything with you guys. If you ever decide to do it, or if you've ever been interested in a Vipassana or not even sure what a Vipassana retreat is, I made a list of things that we're going to go over today. So we're going to go over the schedule, the 8 precepts or rules, the rule exemptions, clothing, things I thought would be hard, things that were actually hard, if I cheated, the food, the room, what I agreed on and what I did not agree on about their teachings, funny moments, the insights that I gained, and where I'm at now and where I'm going after this. Now, I did make an entire before thoughts video if you want to watch that first, but pretty much the only thing I really knew about Vipassana was that it's silent. We had to meditate 6 to 8 hours a day. It's based on Buddhism, and really that's about it. I had no expectations going in. I really didn't want to put expectations on it, because if you put expectations on things and you don't get that result, you're going to be disappointed. So I didn't want to disappoint myself before even going. So let's begin. Originally we signed up for 7 days. However, we knew that we needed a lot more healing and a lot of things were coming up that needed clearing. So we extended to 11 days. We wanted to do 10 because 10 is usually what a Vipassana retreat is. However, it was a Buddhist holiday, so they said that they wanted us to stay an extra day to attend the ceremony, so we decided just to do 11 days. Like I said, the Vipassana that we stayed at was in Chom Thong at Wat Chom Thong. It's about a 2.5-hour bus ride from Chiang Mai downtown. And the significance of Wat Chom Thong is that it holds a relic of Buddha. Now, a relic is a actual piece of Buddha, and the one that specifically at Wat Chom Thong was on the right side of Buddha's skull. So they hold this little piece of Buddha put away in this most beautiful, beautiful temple. It just holds so much significance, and I'm just so honored to be able to go there. So let's begin with the schedule. So we weren't really given a schedule at all. All we were told was wake up at 4 a.m., breakfast at 6 a.m., lunch at 11 a.m., and really that was it. We did have to go to report anytime between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. I decided to start going around 9:15 because there would still be so many people in line and I would just have to wait like 45 minutes anyway. And I did attend the chant every day. That was at 6:30 p.m. 4 to 5 times a month they have a Buddhist holiday, and I was lucky enough to attend 2 of them. And what we would do is we would go at 6:30 and we would do the evening chant, which we always did every night anyway. Then they would add a few other chants in there. We would meditate, we would listen to a speech, and then we would do 3 koras around the temple that held the relic of Buddha. And then we would give offerings to the temple and to Buddha, and then we would go and light incense and candles at the Bodhi tree. So there wasn't really much of a schedule at all, and between the extra free space I had, I was supposed to meditate for 6 to 8 hours a day with the goal of 8 hours a day. And we're going to get to if I was able to do that or not. Also, the way I did my schedule is I attended the 6:30 chant that went till about 7:30 p.m. And then after that, I went right to my room. I took a shower because I was so sweaty after the day. And then I did a massage and stretches, and that's it. I didn't do any more meditating at night because once I got back to my room, it was just self-care time to allow my mind to process the day of anything that kind of came up and wasn't fully cleared. and just to relax and be with myself, not try to push myself to meditate anymore. I did allow that, and I'm really thankful because a lot of healing just came from the self-care itself. But I don't think I was supposed to do that. I think I was supposed to do one more round of meditation, but okay, so next let's go over the 8 Buddhist precepts or rules. So usually there are 5 Buddhist precepts or rules that we all had to follow, and then we also got 3 additional ones for being at Wat Cham Thong. The first 5 ones are no killing. This includes insects, and that includes mosquitoes, which was the hardest for me because there were so many mosquitoes there. No sexual behavior. This includes holding hands and hugging. No incorrect speech, so lying or cursing. Lying, I don't really lie, but cursing, I curse a lot, so that was really hard, and I try not to even do it in my mind, which was a struggle for me. I'm not gonna lie. I just grew up around cursing, it being normal, and just a freedom of speech, but I held back a lot. And then the 5th one is no intoxicants, so no drinking or. And then the 3 additional ones that we had specifically for the retreat was no eating at the wrong time, so afternoon, no listening to music, no singing, and no beautifying oneself with makeup or jewelry. Oh, and no luxurious sleeping beds. That was actually one of the precepts. There were some exemptions to these rules. One of them for the no talking was you can talk during report. So every day you would meet up with one of the monks and they would give you a teaching. They would ask how you're doing, how your meditations are going, any advice they have, and then take you a little step further into the Vipassana. So you would either do longer time for your meditations, take an extra step, so forth and so forth. As far as singing, this one was hard for me because I noticed that I break out in song just randomly. I would just be thinking and break out into a song or have a song stuck in my head. I tried really hard to avoid this, but during chanting, it's not really considered singing, so you are allowed to do the chanting during the evening chant, but only with everyone. So you can't just kind of go off and do your own thing or do a different chant or do kirtan, like we love kirtan, even though that's not really Buddhism. Not allowed to do that either. And then this one shocked me. So we weren't allowed to eat after noon, right? But we were allowed to have smoothies. Okay. And dairy didn't count. So that means we could have ice cream, chocolate, yogurt, or cheese. I was not going to argue with this one. Little side note, me and one of the friends that I made there, we ended up searching the entire town practically for some cheese, which we didn't find until the very last day, and I took one bite and it was the most disgusting cheese I've ever had from 7-Eleven. I think that was a lesson in itself, that don't keep searching for something. Maybe you're not supposed to have it because I'm lactose intolerant, but. Okay, moving on to clothing. So we were only supposed to wear white. The outfits that they gave us were a little bit purple from washing it, I guess, with blue soap or something. But they gave us 2 sets, so I washed them by hand every other day. I did bring an extra white shirt just to wear when I was drying everything. But they did have a washer, which I just couldn't find. But you were supposed to sleep in the white clothes as well. I did cheat with that because I could not wear long shirt and long pants to sleep. I brought my own shirt and shorts that I slept in. Oh, and you're supposed to wear slippers because you take them off for every place that you go into, whether it's the dining hall, the temples, or one of the meditation halls. Now, some things that I thought would be really hard was, one, waking up at 4 a.m. Like I said in my before thoughts video, I was waking up around 10 a.m., going to bed around 1 a.m., getting 9 hours of sleep, and probably taking a nap every there and again. So I thought this was going to be super hard for us. We even tried waking up a half an hour early every single day, and that still didn't get us to 4 a.m. by the time we got to the retreat, but it actually wasn't that hard. I surprisingly got really good sleep. However, I might have went to bed early. We will get to that when I talk about if I cheated or not. Another thing that I thought would be really hard was the no eating past noon, but because of the exemption, having a smoothie surprisingly filled me up. The meal that they served for lunch was massive, so that filled me up enough till about 5 p.m. when I would go and get a smoothie with Isaac, my boyfriend. And I did fill up my fridge with chocolate. I filled it up and I never really ate any because I was so full from the smoothie and then just so busy with my meditations. I tried to stay out of my room as much as possible because I knew that I would just sleep if I went back to my room. Now, things that were actually hard. Meditating for 8 hours a day. I honestly didn't think that this would be too hard just because the schedule was so open and there was so much time. There was nothing else to do. So I thought it would be easy to kind of fill that in with meditations. However, every day the report monk would give us more time on our meditation. So usually about 5 more minutes. And when you're supposed to be meditating for 2 hours for one chunk of time a day, it's pretty impossible if you're waking up at 4, getting ready for about 30 minutes, and then having an hour and a half until breakfast time. So you can't really do your full set. And then once you get to report, after that, you really only have like 40, 50 minutes until lunchtime. So again, you don't have enough time to do a full set. So I would be breaking up my sets so much throughout the day until after lunchtime when I really had a free chunk of time to do my meditations. And like I said, after 7:30, after the chant, I would just go home to my room and do self-care. And I know that I would have hit 8 hours if I would have just did a meditation before bedtime. But that was my self-care hour. I looked forward to that. I know that was like an attachment thing that he probably would have bashed me for, but it really helped me wind down for the night and actually get really good sleep. Another thing that I'm sure you expected was really hard was so many suppressed memories came up. Things that I completely forgotten about childhood, my college years, even after my college years when I was living in Maryland. So many suppressed emotions, so much anger, so much sadness, so much fear. Everything came up. A million memories at once came up. And you're sitting there trying to concentrate, and you're supposed to say memory, memory, memory. You're supposed to not look at the memories and just acknowledge that they're there. But when a suppressed memory arises that you've forgotten about your entire life pretty much since it happened, I would take the time to look at it and to love it and to be there for it. And it was really hard because it wasn't just one, it wasn't just two, it wasn't just 10. It was multiple suppressed memories every single day. And it got harder every day because your body, your mind, your nervous system can only take so much. So that did become really hard for me. And with that being said, showing emotion. You're not allowed to show any emotion in public. And you're not really supposed to in your room, but I mean, I went and cried in my room. So if I'm meditating in public, like I said, I would try to stay out of my room. So if I'm meditating and an emotion arises that I've completely forgotten about, and some of the things that I've remembered that I've either I've done to myself, or other people have done to me, or things have happened to me, have been really, really, really traumatic. And to remember that in public and to try to not suppress it, but to calm your emotions and not cry in public, really, really hard. One time I remember tearing up and just having to just stop my walking meditation just to calm myself back down. But the other time that I arose, it was during chanting, and I couldn't. I just started crying, and I had to run out of chanting and go to my room and just cry it all out. And of course, not staying silent was really hard, especially when I'm there with my boyfriend. It's not like I'm there with a bunch of strangers. It actually was harder that I was with my boyfriend because I just wanted to talk to him. If things became too much, too emotional, too traumatic, I would want to tell him. And yeah, we'll get to that if I cheated or not. Okay, so if I cheated, we'll start with the silent thing. Yes, I did cheat. We didn't talk actually until the last night, but we did kind of text back and forth. I turned my phone completely off, or I made sure my SIM was turned off by the time I got to the Vipassana retreat. However, I have Note app, and I would message him on the Note app, and then we would just hand it back and forth. So that was technically cheating. That's not silent. You weren't supposed to tell people about your meditations or things that came up. I did because sometimes it became really, really hard and really, really emotional. And I wanted some support, and I know that that was cheating because you're really supposed to do it all on your own. But maybe I'll do better next time. I'm not going to try to look into the past and bash myself for it, and really be there for myself, because it was a really hard time, especially some of the memories that came up that I had completely suppressed down. Another thing that I cheated on was the sleeping part. You were not supposed to nap during the day, and for the first 5 days, I took a 20-minute nap after lunch. And I know you're not supposed to do this, but I did, so I technically cheated on that. Also, you were supposed to wake up at 4 a.m. and go to bed at 10 p.m. I would go to bed around 8:30 to 9:30, usually around 9 p.m. So I was cheating, going to bed an hour earlier. Also, the last 2 days, so the day that I left and the day before, I woke up at 5 a.m. So I lost a lot of my meditation time during the morning time, and that was also considered cheating. No excuses. I really just wanted to sleep. Another thing that I cheated on was you're only supposed to do their types of meditation. They had 2 types of meditation that you were supposed to do: a sitting meditation and a walking meditation. Depending on where you're at in your Vipassana and what your report monk tells you, I ended up doing up to a 6-step walking meditation, which I will show you in this next video. So this is considered a 6-step walking meditation. It's rising, lifting, moving, lowering, touching, and pushing. And then for your sitting meditations, depending on what the report monk tells you, you're supposed to end up doing different points in your body after rising and falling with your breath. I ended up doing 12 points, and I'm pretty sure there's 24, 26 points in the body total. So you're only supposed to do their types of meditation. However, when my mind would just get so chaotic or distracted, I would go to my 5 senses meditations, where I would start with feeling. What do I feel? Do I feel my left leg hitting the floor? Do I feel my butt cheeks on the couch? Do I feel my hands touching against each other? Whatever I felt, I would focus on. And then I went to hearing. How many different sounds could I hear? What was the furthest sound away that I could hear? And so on. What could I see in my mind? What could I hear? Or what could I smell? What could I taste? Everything. So because I did go off occasionally to do my types of meditations when I got distracted, that was considered cheating. But other than that, other than those, I stuck to the rules. Also, we were supposed to meditate 8 hours a day. When you started the Vipassana, it was supposed to be around 6, and you're supposed to work your way up to 8. I actually never got to 8. I got to 7 hours and 45 minutes at most. Every single day I did do at least 7 hours, but it was from 7 hours to 7 hours and 45 minutes. So I don't know if that's cheating or not, because it was 6 to 8 and I did 7, but you're supposed to do 8. I don't know if you consider that cheating, but that's what I did. But other than that, I didn't cheat on anything else. And I did do the best that I possibly could. I put my all into it, especially the first 8 days. I put everything into it. However, around the 8th day, I started getting very, very resistant, which I will share when I speak on my insights. I want to speak on the food. The food was absolutely delicious. Pretty much every single day, minus a few of the breakfasts, was different every time. And it was some of the best Thai food I've ever had. I had convinced myself that as soon as I left, I was going to take a Thai cooking class, because the food was just phenomenal. The first time that we went to Thailand 2 years ago, I really wasn't keen for the food, honestly. But the food here completely changed my mind of Thai food. One thing that I was really surprised on was that they served meat. So they served regular Thai food with meat in it, and then vegetarian Thai. Since I am pescatarian, I did the vegetarian one. And I hate tofu. As a vegetarian, I hate tofu. But the tofu there was, oh, I have a new relationship with tofu. I now love it. It's so good. Whatever they were doing to it, keep doing it. Now, I did want to talk about my room before I get into my insights, some of the funny moments that I saw, or what I agreed with and what I didn't agree with. I had so much gratitude for my room because I was lucky enough to have an AC room. Thank you. It also had a fan. I had a fridge, a private bathroom. So one of the rules was that you can't have luxurious beds. I didn't know what this was going to mean, but it meant that I got a mat, like a prison mat. At first, the first few days, I was convinced that I was just in prison, especially because my mat was numbered and everything in my room was numbered B6 because that was my room. But I am so, so, so grateful. I am beyond grateful that I actually slept so well. I had AC. I had a hot shower with the best water pressure. Apparently, Isaac did not have the same experience. So I am so grateful for my room. I had my own room. I didn't have any roommates, so I had my seclusion when I wanted to do my self-care or just be by myself. It was perfect. I honestly loved my room. I have no complaints about it at all. Now, there were some things that I agreed with and some things that I did not agree with. A lot of the things that I agreed with is that our minds are chaotic, our emotions are chaotic, they blur our vision of how we're supposed to show up in the world, and we do things that distract us every day from reality. Our phones, for one. I'm constantly on my phone, I'm constantly on social media, especially as a content creator. I am always thinking about something. So I do agree that we have way too many thoughts in our mind and that we need to calm them and silence them. Not just calm them, but silence them. The things that I don't agree on is the way it felt like they were supposed to be suppressed. It felt like from my report monk that no matter what came up, okay, memory, don't think about it. Don't think about it. It doesn't matter if it's been suppressed for 13 years. You're not allowed to think about it. Memory, memory, memory. Thought, thought, thought. Thinking, thinking, thinking. That's all you're supposed to say in your mind. I don't agree with that because it was so much more helpful for me to stop my meditations and take myself like in the ghost of Christmas past, go to that event and truly be there for that part of me. So whether I was 13 years old, I would be there for myself during that time. Whether it was 5 years ago, I would go and be there for that person. And that was so much more helpful than just memory, memory, memory. I do agree that there are thousands of thoughts that we have a day that don't need any extra thought about and just, okay, thinking, thinking, thinking. Story, story, story. I know that I have a creative mind and I try to make up these stories and just put myself in this whole other reality. You could probably put me in a room for 12 hours and I would completely entertain myself if I was allowed to think creatively. But I agree, that's no use to me. That doesn't bring me to this reality. That isn't real. So I agree. Storytelling, storytelling, storytelling. Thinking, thinking, thinking. There are memories that don't need looked at. A lot of memories from my patients, because I'm a nurse, came up about Maryland or in Texas that I loved. They weren't bad memories, they were good memories, but memory, memory, memory. Doesn't need thought about. Another thing that I noticed is that everyone kind of looked down when they would be walking, and there was no real eye contact. If you know me in Texas, you knew that I threw a transformational festival based on healing. You were allowed to be naked. I'm completely for people showing up as themselves. It doesn't matter what it is. And eye contact. Eye contact is so important to be seen and to feel seen. And I felt like a lot of that was just, I know people didn't want to talk. I understand that, but you don't have to talk. I would look at people and I would smile and they would just give me the biggest smile I've ever seen in my life. I've never had so many people smile so big at me. But before that it was, and a lot of people would walk past each other and just, and I just didn't like that. It felt like suppression to me. It felt like you weren't allowed to have emotions. So that's another thing I don't agree on. I think that people should be allowed to show emotions. There's so much healing in crying, in laughing, in dancing, and singing. The festival that I threw was based on ecstatic dance and healing through community. Healing through dance and community are two things I am the most passionate about. However, you weren't allowed to dance or sing at the Vipassana, And a lot of it was based on yourself, healing through yourself, no one else. You're not allowed to tell anyone your meditations. You're not allowed to talk to anyone. You're not even allowed to share what's coming up with your report monk. It's just, how are your meditations? Are you distracted? Not distracted? And that's it. So it's a lot of based on just lone wolf mentality and not being allowed to ask for help. And I don't agree with that. I understand this was the retreat, but that's a lot of how they live. Even though they're living in a community of all the monks, they're really just kind of by themselves. I feel like this might not be true. This is just my interpretation of the Vipassana. And I'm not bashing on it, I promise. I promise you. I'm just stating what I saw and what I felt. And I'm going to try to hurry this up because I am drenched in sweat. Another thing I didn't agree with is that a lot of the Buddhist retreats that I've been to one other Buddhist retreat, but it was vegetarian, and I thought a lot of Buddhism was vegetarian, but they allowed meat. So I don't know, I felt that was weird, that one of the rules was no killing, but that they're allowed to eat meat. It just felt a little off to me. I had two funny moments. One was just the things that you notice when you are just fully present. Like when I was eating really slow, I would be peeling like a split pea. And if you look at a split pea in the light, it looks just like an alligator skin or a snake skin. And just like the funny things that you notice, or a fly had landed on my cup and I was watching it drink with its tongue on my cup, and then it would land on my shoulder and it started blowing water bubbles out and in, like blowing bubble gum. And if it was puke, please just don't ruin it for me. Just allow me to have this experience, okay? But it was just so cute to watch it. Just the little things that you realize and see and notice when you're fully present. The things that we miss when we're just on our phones. And then probably the most funny moment that I witnessed that I just still cannot comprehend, and I really want to ask the monk. But I saw a monk buying a lottery ticket, and all around Wat Chan Tong, they sell lotto tickets. And I saw a actual monk from the monastery that I was staying at buying a lotto ticket. I wanted to ask him, if you win, what are you going to do with this money? Because they're supposed to give up everything, their hair, their materials, everything, their clothes. So if you win this money, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to give it to the monastery? Are you going to keep it for yourself, send it to your family? I don't know. I just thought it was so funny and just mind-blowing. Okay, now let's get to my insights, the best stuff of this video. I wrote these down, and my laptop is so hot out here, so I'm going to try to make this quick because I think it's overheating. Okay, one thing I realized is how we pass on pain and how we can actually be a transmitter or a clearer for this pain. So say you're at work and a customer comes in and they throw something at you because, you know what, their kid was having a bad day, wouldn't wake up, and then the kid had a fit and threw something at the dad. So now the dad comes in and throws his keys at you or something. Say you're picking up a car or something for him. Say you're selling a car for him or something. I don't know. But he's giving you attitude. And now you're just so mad because how could this person treat you, another person, like this? And it's ruined your whole day. You're mean to the rest of your customers for the day. And then you go home to your girlfriend or wife. And then you start yelling at her. Why are you so annoying? You're so dramatic. Just do it by yourself. Come on. And now she's having a bad day. And now she's thinking, what did I do? What did I do? Why is he acting like this to me? I don't understand. So now she's up all night. She can't sleep. She goes to work. And now she's mean to someone. And you just pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. And it becomes this domino effect for everyone around you. And I don't think we realize how much pain we pass on. And I'm not just talking about just having a bad day or anger. I'm also talking about real traumatic events, things that have happened to us in childhood. The majority of things that happen in your childhood are going to come up. Some way, somehow, they're going to manifest into your adulthood. And if they're not cleared, you're only going to hurt someone else. So what I realize is we're either a transmitter or clearer. You can transmit this pain to someone else. You can transmit this anger, this sadness, jealousy. You can transmit all that to someone else. Or you can clear it yourself and then only be a transmitter of love or peace. So before each meditation, before I started either my walking meditation or my sitting meditation, I would set my intention of why I'm doing this. And that's to clear my chaotic mind, clear my chaotic thoughts, and to heal my own pain so that I don't cause myself any more pain. I don't put myself in other situations that are going to cause me more pain or trauma, real trauma, or pass this pain on to someone else. I did a lot of healing around my family, around friends, around things that were done to me as a child, and I feel so much more clear. There is a lot I still need to work on though. So just think of this the next time you're having a bad day. Sit for a second and think just this. If I allow this anger to continue, first of all, how long is it going to continue? And second, how many people am I going to pass this on to? Even if you pass it on to one person, that can equal 10,000 people if you really think about it. And I'm not joking about this. Like, if you really look at, okay, well, just one event in your life. I was mean to this person. That person was then mean to someone else, and then someone else was mean to them, and blah, 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 blah. So on and so forth. So just by healing one bad day, you're clearing so much for everyone else. And you're not passing on any more pain. Okay, now this one might be a little off to some people, but I have a spirit guide. You can call this whatever you want. You can call it a spirit guide, your higher self, your intuition, whatever it is. You can call it your clear mind, your what is it? Id? Oh my gosh, I took psychology, I can't remember. But the highest part of your brain where you can think clearly, okay? Just think of it like that. I call it my spirit guide. So what my spirit guide essentially told me is that you are the driver in a car, okay? You are the driver, but you can't see. You are blindfolded. And in real life, you can't actually see the future. You can't see how your actions are then going to create other actions for people. You can't see how your pain is going to turn into other people's pain. You can't really see this clearly. So in this car, you are blindfolded. In the passenger seat is your guide, your intuition, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. They can see. They can see the road ahead of you, but they are tied into their seat. They cannot move. And they are in the passenger seat. So in real life, you are the controller. You can lift up this arm. You can touch your hair, but you can't actually see into the future. You can also call this your third eye. So your third eye, the seer, can actually see the road ahead of you, but they cannot move. They can't make you do anything. You know how you have like other voices in your head that are saying, yes, this is a good idea, but you're just so angry, you don't want to do it. That's because your mind is blindfolded and they can actually see, but they can't make you do it. So you've got the driver, which is you, the controller, the passenger, which is the seer, and then sometimes you have a bunch of children in the back seat screaming and yelling at you. And this is when you have multiple voices, not like schizophrenia voices, but the voices, in your head telling you, these are your parts. So if you've ever been into like parts therapy, these are your different parts. These are the ways that you react because of specific trauma that you've received. So like, for instance, if you've been cheated on, you have a child in the back seat saying he's going to cheat on you. Okay? So these are the screaming kids in the back of the car. So to kind of make sense of it all, you might be able to control this, but unless you're communicating with that higher self, that guide, that third eye, whatever it is you want to call it, the intuition, unless you're really communicating with that, you're just going to keep running into walls. You're going to keep getting stuck. You're not going to be able to drive forward. You're not going to go anywhere. But if you can communicate with this guide, this intuition, you're going to be able to go, and you're going to be able to flow because you're in communication with this, because they can't make you do anything. They can tell you how it's going to go. They can be the seer for you, but they cannot control you. You are the driver. You are the controller. So just keep that in mind. I'm getting hot. Okay. So another thing is, I'm going to read this off here because I kind of wrote it down. But after about 8 days, I had 2 full days of not wanting to see any more pain. there was so much resistance to meditating, to even sitting down, to eating slowly. Everything was just this chaotic mind again. It was trying to think of everything. It was, I'm too tired. That's probably why I slept an extra hour these last 2 days. It was just everything, thinking about the future, just anything and everything to distract my mind. And it turned into complete fear and paranoia. My mind started to see the scariest faces in the floors when I was doing my walking meditations. I would see the scariest faces in the clouds, the walls, everything. Everything was the most distorted face I've ever seen. Like I was on this bad trip. My computer just died. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this video and come back to it. Okay, I'm just gonna have to hold it on the charger. So my mind would constantly see these scary, scary faces, and just so much more paranoia came up about pretty much everything. I got to a point where I was seeing like 100 faces a day, and I was so scared to even go to sleep the last 2 nights. I felt deeper and deeper into this paranoia until I saw it for what it actually was, which was my mind trying to keep me safe. It thought by distracting myself with these scary faces, it would avoid me thinking about more memories or allowing these memories to arise. When I realized this, I talked to myself like I was a best friend to myself. I would say, it's okay, I understand what you're trying to do, and thank you for trying to keep me safe. However, this is only going to create more suppression and hurt and fear. And which means we need to clear this paranoia, so that we can become a open space for these memories to freely arise, so that I can see them, love them, and clear them. Because if not, they're just going to stay stuck, they're going to stay suppressed, and they're going to manifest in multiple ways like they've done in the past in my life. So just one of the insights that I had was seeing how my mind personally works. So if I start to see things arise and I get too scared of these memories, so I'm too afraid that a certain memory is going to come up and I'm going to remember, what my mind or my body does is it suppresses it, and it can only get to a point of suppression. So when it feels like it's going to come up, it starts distracting myself by wanting to think of the future, wanting to plan every second of my life, wanting to work 24/7 like I've done, wanting to drink, wanting to just constantly do something. Or if that doesn't work, starts freaking out, having paranoia. And I've done a lot of that in my life. At one point, I couldn't even leave my house due to such severe anxiety. I couldn't go get gas by myself. I couldn't go to the grocery store by myself. I would stay in my house by myself, scared of everything and everyone. And that was the way that my mind thought it was keeping me safe. However, now I know that it's not keeping me safe at all. And now it's starting to rain, so now I really need to hurry. Other insights I had was just around eating. In my life, I've had a very bad relationship with food, losing weight, gaining weight, ending myself having to have therapy because of the ways that I would lose weight. I'm not going to say how, but you kind of can figure that out. So I've had a really bad relationship with food. So in the Vipassana, I would eat so slowly. I would taste how just one little grain of salt would taste in my mouth, and for how long I could keep that taste in there. And it completely changed everything, my whole relationship around food. And now I leave one thing of food, so one dish, one side, or whatever it is, of food on my plate. So if I have a main and 3 sides, I'm leaving 4 scoops of food on my plate at least. Once I'm full, I leave the rest. So if I'm still hungry, but I get to the end of my plate, I'm at least leaving those 4 bites. And I say it's for the gods. Or I just give it to my boyfriend now. Another insight I had wasn't personally mine, but it was the report monk. So I have a lot of breathing issues, and I feel like I can't get a full breath of air. I feel like I'm suffocating. My throat starts to tighten and close. And this happens almost on a daily basis, to where I have to just to breathe. And my throat feels so tight. And the monks said that, so they believe in karma. Buddhism is all about karma and past lives, and they believe that anything that we experience in this life that is negative per se, we caused in someone else's life in a past life. So his insight was that because I feel this suffocating, I probably suffocated someone in a past life. However, when I was around 13 years old, I had a boyfriend, and when I broke up with him, he himself by hanging. And his thoughts were that the hanging that he experienced and thinking that it was because of me, and that's why he did it, is now the throat tightening that I feel. I don't know if that's true, but that was a good interpretation and also a good reminder to constantly give him love in the spirit realm and say, I'm sorry and apologize. I know it wasn't my fault that he did that. I understand that I've worked through that trauma, but still it does affect me sometimes, and I still think about it, and I still think it's helpful to apologize and to love him in the spirit realm, even if it's not the thing that's causing the tightening of my throat. And I don't want to get too deep into the traumas that arose in me, so I'm gonna kind of leave those out because I did write them down, but I don't feel like sharing them online, so I'm not gonna trauma dump on you. But one good thing that kind of arose is that we are full-time travelers. We've been traveling Southeast Asia for the past year, maybe 13 months, and we're going to be going to New York in October for a retreat at an ashram. And then after that, we're going to stay in New York a little bit and then go see my family in Maryland until Thanksgiving and then go back to Austin. And our plan was to work, save up money so that we can come and travel again. Since I am a nurse, I can do a travel nursing job for 3 months, make a lot of money in 3 months, and then pretty much go travel for another year, year and a half. However, in the Vipassana, I've seen how even while I'm here, I'm working constantly on my content creation, on my website, on travel planning for clients, which I do. I plan people's travels. If you ever want me to plan your travels, just hit my website below in the description. But what I do is I work way too much. I'm not saying working's bad. I'm not saying making videos is bad. I'm not saying planning people's travels is bad. But when I'm working like 50 hours a week or more, again, while I'm out here, what am I doing and why? And it's really just to distract my mind. And my plan before the Vipassana was to go back to Austin, work as much as I could, probably work a full-time travel nursing job and get another PRN job just to make as much money as I possibly could so I could stay out here as long as possible after I leave. I don't want that. I don't want to skip. I'm trying to essentially skip like 6-7 months of my life right now. Why? Why am I trying to skip even a second of my life? I've done enough of that. Before this trip, I was working 80 hours a week in Austin on the festival full time and as a nurse full time. I am done working that much. So I've decided that, and Isaac's in agreement, that when we go back to Austin, I'm going to get a part-time job, continue my content creation part-time, and plan something else on the side that's going to take a while to plan, but I'm just going to do a little bit here, a little bit there, but not work even 40 hours a week. So do less, have more value. Less is more. And just live a simple life in Austin. We still have our friends. I want to have weekly dinner nights with my friends, like a little family night. I love bringing people together. It's what I'm most passionate about, is community. So why am I trying to get away from my community? So much realization about what I want, what I don't want, and why I'm doing what I'm even doing now. And I'm just trying to live a more simple, slow, peaceful life, because before the Vipassana, success, I'm a Capricorn, so success in my head was pretty much number one. And now it's just peace and contentment and balance. There's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with being successful. There's nothing wrong with doing content creation or working to become the best version that I can. But when that's the only thing that you're doing, should probably look into that. Isaac always tried telling me I'm a workaholic. And yes, I know I'm a workaholic, but I didn't really realize that I was just using work to kind of push everything down and using it also as an achievement reward anchor that I can be like, but I did this, but I did this, but I did this. I'm 28 and I've done so much already. I owned a house at 21, got my nursing degree, moved by myself all the way across the country to go live by myself and get over all my fears, traveled the world for a year. Why am I trying to prove anything? I've proved it already to myself. I've done enough already by myself at 28 years old. I've achieved enough. It's time to move slower. It's time to just use the time that I have to bring community together. And speaking of that, I have an idea. I'm not going to mention it, but the festival that I threw in the past, I had so much trauma around business partners and so much hate and so much anger towards one specific business partner that I had that treated me and the other one like total crap. Like we were just the smallest of the small. And that's what tore us apart. And then that person continued to throw festivals. And I just had so much leftover anger and really just a pause on bringing community together and pause on throwing festivals. And I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to be a part of any of it because it's just so much anger I had left and so much unsettledness towards this business partner that I had. I worked on a lot of that during the retreat. And I finally cleared it to where I'm ready to bring community back together. And I have some ideas of what I'm going to do once I'm back in Austin. So I'm super excited about that. I'm not going to mention that yet because it is going to take a while for me to gather everything and I'm not even there yet. So I'm not trying to think about it yet, but just so much excitement and easefulness knowing that that is cleared and that I am now ready for any other opportunities to come in while still not trying to work too much. And since I am just sweating so much, I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about where I'm at now and where I'm going. So right now I am at a hotel in Chom Tong in Thailand, and this was only an 8-minute drive from Wat Chon Tong. So if you go to the Vipassana retreat, definitely make sure you stay here. This place is beautiful. I'll do a few clips of this place in this video, but I will link it below once I leave, just for safety reasons, of course. And after this, we're leaving tomorrow to go back to Chiang Mai. Then we're going to go to Krabi, possibly Phi Phi, and possibly another island in Thailand. And then after that, we're going to Da Nang to grab all of our luggage because we left our luggage with a local there. Hopefully it's still there. We put a lot of trust in this random local Vietnamese person that I really hope hasn't sold all of our stuff. And then, like I said, in October, we'll be going to New York and then Maryland and then Austin. So we have a lot coming and I have a lot more to share with you. I've kind of thrown the before Vipassana thoughts video and then this video in here in the middle of putting out all my North Vietnam videos. So I still have a bunch of North Vietnam videos to put out. It takes me a while to edit. It takes me a few days to edit. So kind of stay with me here. I am in Thailand now, but I will be putting out the North Vietnam videos and then the Thailand videos. So just stay tuned for all that. And if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit the button. So leave a comment below, hit the like button, and make sure you subscribe. And I will see you next time.